So the question that seems to be on a lot of people's minds outside of Kalamazoo is, how the fuck did it end up being Kalamazoo, Michigan? And I don't mean that in an offensive way. It's just that's what people are asking me.
Right.
I mean, my own family is like, how the fuck? And that's just what they say. You know, it's nothing against Kalamazoo, for crying out loud. It's a great town. Everything here has been wonderful. But can you explain how it landed here, of all places? As opposed to like New York or Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, somewhere, yeah. So,
Well, I think there's two parts to that, so
Sure.
I'll go ahead and take one, and I would definitely love for Lisa to take the other. One of these is that Kalamazoo is the sixth meanest city in the nation to the homeless. We have, for instance, our downtown gospel mission holds 300 beds. We have 1,600 homeless children in city limits alone. We had a 92% rise in homeless children in 2012, and that was 2 years after they already deemed us the sixth meanest city in the nation. You can't sleep in a park in the daytime if you're homeless, or at night. We actually, last May, we did, for May 1st, did a sidewalk encampment, and they clarified, our government prosecutor clarified, as long as we were doing a protest and we weren't homeless and it was a timed protest, we could sleep on the park. But if we were homeless and we had to do that because we had nowhere else to go, we would be taken to jail. So that was a glaring one. And then it echoes off of a lot of the systemic problems in Michigan, like the EFM. And we could go on for a minute on the economic woes here.
That's a great reason to do it here. I agree with you, because anytime you run into that kind of prejudice resistance, I think it becomes so much more vital to assault it. So I completely understand that perspective, but what were you going to add? What's the other thing?
The other thing is in addressing environmentally, especially specifically, is the oil spill that happened in 2010, and the fact that this same pipeline, they are actually expanding it to double its capacity and hiding behind the fact that they are fixing it. So there needs to be some real attention brought to that, and brought to this tar sands issue that we're having. The extraction needs to stop. This pipeline needs to stop. It is actually, we were talking about this, it's actually longer than the Keystone, or bigger than the Keystone?
It's actually, this pipeline is actually larger than the XL.
We haven't even heard anything about this in Arkansas. You know, we had our own oil spill, and we're dealing with our own bullshit too. But that's, that's crazy.
It's because it's the largest inland oil spill to date that's ever taken place.
Really?
And if I could just do a little bit of clarity too, with this oil spill, it was like, as mentioned, it was the largest inland oil spill in U.S. history. On top of that, what's really important to understand about this oil spill, and what's important to understand about tar sand is a street name for something called bitumen oil.
Right.
Bitumen oil comes out like pavement. They have to lace it with toluene, benzene, and several of the chemical components that you find in fracking fluid, just to get it to go into pipe. The other thing that's important to understand about bitumen, why they call it tar sand, is that it grips. When it's not flooded with chemicals, it attaches itself to organic compounds. So when 1.1 million gallons of bitumen tar sand oil went into the Kalamazoo River, it sank to the bottom, the chemicals released, and it formed with the bed of our river. There is no oil spill that's ever happened like this in history. There is no set explanation for how to clean this up. There are theories, but there is no set response. We really wanted with this NatGet, and I think one of the biggest reasons that it came here is we have an opportunity to show the world what it looks like if the XL happens, what it looks like if the Enbridge pipe gets to be finished, because we have an example here. We have the dead people in the trailer parks here. We have the miscarriages here. We have the little children having seizures here that show you what's going to happen if they let this happen. And it shows you where we're at with our government, because we have this worst oil spill that's happened, and we have a government that has allowed it to set for 3 years and not honestly held them accountable. when you're making
No.
$46 million a day, a $2 million fine doesn't seem like a lot. And so yeah,
They got fined $2 million,
they got fined $2 million.
and that's it.
That's
initially.
chump change, yeah.
Yeah.
Chump
Where'd the
change.
money go?
That's a good question. Probably in the, who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is why I had to ask that question. Is because outside of town, like this is something that needs to be broadcast more.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
this is something that
absolutely.
really needs to get out there.
The scariest part about this oil spill is that right here in Kalamazoo County, several of the people who live within a mile of this river don't understand